All right, so today we're diving into something pretty exciting, the potential of investing in property in Phuket, Thailand. We've got this excerpt here that makes a pretty bold claim, saying now's the perfect time to buy. Phuket's always had that kind of, exotic paradise appeal. But is it really an investor's haven? Let's unpack this and see what's really going on.
Yeah, it's definitely a tempting proposition. Phuket's got those stunning beaches, that vibrant Thai culture, and a growing expat community. But as with any investment, got to look beyond just the surface allure.
Exactly. The source we have raves about rental income potential, driven by Phuket's booming tourism sector. But how does that really compare to, say, like Bali or other popular Southeast Asian destinations?
That's a smart question to ask. Phuket does enjoy consistent tourist traffic, but it's super important to consider factors like seasonality, average occupancy rates, and the types of properties that actually yield the best returns. For instance, luxury villas with private pools. Those tend to attract a higher paying clientele compared to just standard condo units.
Interesting. So it's not just about owning a piece of property in Phuket, it's about choosing the right kind of property. The source also highlights the diverse expat community, suggesting that it adds stability to the market, especially for those longer-term rentals.
Yes, and this is where Phuket really differentiates itself from those destinations that are purely seasonal tourist destinations. You've got families relocating for the international schools, entrepreneurs that are drawn to the business opportunities, and retirees seeking a more relaxed lifestyle. All this creates consistent demand for quality housing, and that goes beyond just the peak tourist season.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's face it, no paradise is without its quirks, right? The source mentions some legal hurdles for foreign investors?
Absolutely. Direct land ownership is restricted for foreigners. However, that doesn't mean you're totally locked out. Leasehold agreements are very common, which is where you essentially lease the land for a set period. This can range from 30 years to even up to 90 years, with options to renew.
Okay, so that's one route. The source also mentions something about purchasing through a Thai company. What's that all about?
It's a pretty common strategy. For investors seeking more ownership control, you basically establish a Thai limited company, and that company purchases the property. It does add a layer of complexity, requires legal guidance, but it can be worthwhile, depending on your investment goals.
So not a simple walk in the park, but manageable with the right expertise. What other potential challenges do we need to be aware of?
Well, let's talk about the reliance on tourism. Phuket's economy is closely tied to global travel trends. While that can mean lucrative returns during those boom periods, it also exposes the market to fluctuations. Remember the impact of the pandemic on travel. That's a prime example of how external factors can influence property values and rental income.
Right, so that buy now message needs to be taken with a grain of salt. A global recession or even regional instability could throw a wrench in things.
Precisely. Diversification is key for any investor. And due diligence is absolutely crucial, especially in a market like Phuket's. You can't just look at the sunny beaches and assume the profits are just going to roll in. You need to analyze occupancy rates, understand the competitive landscape, and factor in potential market fluctuations.
Speaking of competition, the source paints this picture of Phuket as a luxury destination with marinas, high-end shopping, and gourmet dining. Isn't that attracting a lot of investors, especially in those prime beachfront locations?
Absolutely. Certain areas like Padam Beach or Bang Tao are highly sought after, which drives up prices and creates a competitive market. That's where local knowledge becomes really invaluable. Understanding zoning regulations, emerging trends, and off-the-beaten-path opportunities can give you an edge.
So it's not just about buying any property in Phuket. It's about selecting the right property in the right location with a clear understanding of the market dynamics. And all of this while navigating the legal complexities. Sounds like a lot to consider.
It definitely is. But that's the nature of any investment, really, especially in the dynamic, growing market like Phuket's. The potential rewards are definitely there, but you need to approach it strategically and be willing to do your homework.
Okay, so we've established that Phuket offers both lure and challenges for investors, but the source seems particularly excited about some new developments, claiming these developments are what make now the perfect time to invest. What exactly are they talking about?
There are indeed some significant projects underway that could reshape the landscape. Phuket's striving to solidify its position as a world-class destination, and these developments are a key part of that strategy.
All right, let's hear about these game changers. What's got everyone buzzing?
One of the most talked about projects is the new international airport being constructed in Phang Nga province. It's meant to ease congestion at Phuket's existing airport. and open up the region to even more international travelers.
More airports, more flights, more tourists. I see where this is going. But is this new airport really going to have that much of an impact?
It's certainly a major investment. It signals a commitment to long-term growth. Think about it. Increased accessibility means potentially shorter flight times, more flight options, and ultimately a larger pool of potential visitors and investors.
That's a valid point. And the source mentions some other healthcare and lifestyle developments as well.
Yes, another key project is the construction of a state-of-the-art five-star international hospital by Bumrungrad. They're renowned for their medical expertise. And this new facility is likely to attract medical tourists from all around the globe.
So now we're not just talking about vacationers, but also people seeking high-quality healthcare. That's a whole new segment of potential residents and long-term investors.
Exactly. And let's not forget those international schools we mentioned earlier. They're already attracting families from all over, further solidifying Phuket's appeal as a place to live, work, and raise a family.
Okay, so we've got increased accessibility with the new airport, top-notch healthcare with the Bumrungrad Hospital, a growing international school system, and of course, those 4 world-class marinas catering to the yachting crowd. It seems like Phuket's pulling out all the stops to become a true global hub. But is this all just hype, or are these developments really going to translate into tangible benefits for investors?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? These developments certainly paint a promising picture, but it's crucial to analyze their potential impact realistically. We need to consider factors like construction timelines, the actual demand for these services, and of course, the potential return on investment for property owners.
It's not just about flashy projects, it's about understanding how they actually influence the market and create real value for investors.
Exactly. And that's where things get interesting. Because alongside these exciting developments, there's another crucial factor we can't ignore, one that could have a significant impact on Phuket's future. And that's the issue of climate change.
Ah, yes, the elephant in the room. We can't ignore the potential challenges posed by rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and the overall impact of climate change on a coastal community like Phuket.
Precisely. And this is where things get a bit more complex, because we need to balance the optimism surrounding these new developments with the very real concerns about environmental sustainability and the long-term viability of coastal investments.
So as we move forward in this deep dive, we need to keep both perspectives in mind, the excitement of growth and the responsibility of sustainability. Because ultimately, the best investments are the ones that benefit both the investor and the community.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we'll explore further. As we delve deeper into the nuances of the Phuket property market, we'll examine the potential risks and rewards, consider the impact of climate change, and ultimately help you make a more informed decision about whether investing in this slice of paradise is the right move for you.
So we were just discussing those shiny new developments in Phuket and how they might impact investors. But you also brought up a crucial point, climate change. How can we weigh the excitement of these projects against the potential risks of investing in a coastal region in this day and age?
It's a crucial question. It's one that every potential investor in Phuket needs to consider seriously. We can't just sweep the potential impact of climate change under the rug and focus only on potential financial gains.
The source doesn't really dive deep into this, does it? It kind of just skirts around the issue.
It does mention the importance of sustainable development, but I think it's on us to really flesh out what that means. For Phuket and its investors, we're talking about rising sea levels, increased coastal erosion, and the potential for more frequent and intense storms. These are not insignificant threats to a community that relies so heavily on its coastal beauty and tourism infrastructure.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. What are the tangible risks that investors should be aware of?
For starters, there's the potential impact on property values. If a beachfront property is at risk of being swallowed by the sea in a few decades, that's going to significantly impact its long-term value. Insurance premiums are also likely to rise as the risk of extreme weather events increases. And then there's the broader question of desirability. Will tourists still flock to Phuket if its beaches are eroded, its coral reefs are bleached, and its infrastructure is struggling to cope with the changing climate?
Those are some serious concerns. So what's being done to address these challenges? Is Phuket just sitting back and waiting for the tide to turn? Or are there proactive measures in place to mitigate these risks?
To be fair to Phuket, they're not ignoring the issue. Thailand, as a nation, is actively engaged in climate change, mitigation, and adaptation efforts. There are national policies in place, to reduce carbon emissions, promote renewable energy, and protect coastal ecosystems.
Okay, that's reassuring. But what about Phuket specifically? Are there local initiatives that investors should be looking at?
Absolutely. Phuket has been taking steps to enhance its resilience. They've been investing in coastal protection measures, such as seawalls and mangrove restoration projects. There's also a growing focus on sustainable tourism practices, reducing waste, conserving water, and promoting responsible development.
Okay, so they're not just twiddling their thumbs, but how can investors actually assess these efforts? I mean, it's easy to talk about sustainability, but how do you know if it's more than just greenwashing?
That's where due diligence comes in. Don't just take the marketing brochures at face value. You got to dig deeper. Research the specific initiatives being undertaken. Look for evidence of their effectiveness. And pay attention to the track record of developers and local authorities.
So it's about looking beyond the glossy facade and really understanding the commitment to sustainability. What are some specific things that investors can look for?
Look for projects that incorporate green building principles, such as energy efficiency, water conservation, and the use of sustainable materials. Find out if developers are adhering to environmental regulations and if they're engaging with the local community on sustainability issues. Transparency is key.
It sounds like a lot of research, but I guess that's the price of making a responsible investment. You mentioned community engagement. Why is that important?
Because sustainable development isn't just about protecting the environment. It's also about ensuring the well-being of the local community. If a development project displaces residents, damages local ecosystems, or ignores the cultural heritage of the area, it's not truly sustainable.
So it's about finding that balance between economic growth, environmental protection, and social responsibility. It's not just about building fancy resorts. It's about creating a future that benefits everyone.
Exactly. And I think that's a key takeaway for investors. Look for projects that embrace that holistic approach to development. Projects that prioritize the long-term health of both the environment and the community. Those are more likely to be sustainable and resilient in the face of climate change.
It sounds like you're saying that the most successful investors in Phuket won't just be those who see a quick profit, but those who understand that their investments are intertwined with the fate of the island itself.
That's a great way to put it. Responsible investment means understanding that your success is tied to the well-being of the community and the environment. It's about seeing your investment as a contribution to a larger ecosystem, not just a quick way to make a buck.
Okay, so we've talked about the risks, the mitigation efforts, and the importance of responsible investment. But let's get back to the core question. Is N-now-W really the perfect time to invest in Phuket? With all these challenges and uncertainties, is it worth taking the plunge?
Well, that's a tough question to answer definitively. There's no crystal ball here. What I can say is that Phuket is undoubtedly at a crossroads. It's facing the challenges of climate change head-on, but it's also undergoing a significant transformation with these ambitious new developments.
So it's a mix of potential and uncertainty.
Exactly. For investors, it's about navigating that landscape carefully. Do your research, understand the risks, but also recognize the potential for growth and innovation. Phuket is trying to redefine what it means to be a paradise destination in the 21st century. It's aiming for sustainability, luxury, and accessibility all rolled into one.
Sounds like a fascinating, albeit challenging, proposition. So what's the next step? For our listeners who are intrigued by the idea of investing in Phuket, how can they move beyond the hype and really get a sense of whether this is the right move for them?
I'd say the next step is to dive deeper into the specifics. We've laid out the general landscape, but now it's about getting granular. Explore the different investment zones within Phuket, understand their unique characteristics and potential risks.
Okay, so break it down a bit. What are some of the key zones investors might consider?
You've got the well-established tourist hotspots, like Patong, Karan, and Kata. These areas offer high visibility and strong rental potential, but they're also more susceptible to market fluctuations and the impacts of mass tourism.
So high rewards, but also higher risks. What about areas that are a bit off the beaten path?
That's where things get interesting. Areas like Rawai, Shillong, or even parts of the mainland like Phangak are attracting investors seeking a more laid-back vibe, a closer connection to nature, and potentially higher capital appreciation as those areas develop.
So it's about finding your niche within the Phuket market, matching your investment goals with the characteristics of different zones.
Exactly. And that's where working with a reputable local real estate agent can be invaluable. They could provide insights into specific neighborhoods, guide you through the legal processes, and help you find properties that align with your budget and investment strategy.
So finding the right local expertise is crucial. It's not a market you want to navigate blindly.
Absolutely. And beyond the location, you need to think about the type of property that best suits your needs. Are you looking for a short-term rental property to capitalize on the tourist market, or a long-term investment that might appeal to expats or retirees?
Right. The type of property will dictate your target market, your rental strategy, and ultimately your return on investment.
Precisely. And then there's the question of new developments versus resales. Are you attracted to the shiny new projects with all the bells and whistles? Or are you more interested in established properties with a proven track record?
The age-old dilemma. New and exciting versus tried and true.
Each option has its pros and cons. New developments often come with premium pricing and potential construction delays, while resales might require renovations or lack the latest amenities.
It's about weighing the trade-offs and finding what best fits your investment style and risk tolerance.
Exactly. And once you've narrowed down your options, it's time to crunch the numbers, understand the potential rental yields, factor in expenses like property management fees and taxes, and make sure the numbers make sense for your financial goals.
Right. The allure of paradise is great, but at the end of the day, it's about making a sound financial decision.
Absolutely. Don't let the emotions of owning a piece of paradise cloud your judgment. Approach this as a business decision, just like any other investment.
So we've talked about locations, property types, new developments versus resales, and the importance of running the numbers. What else should investors keep in mind as they delve deeper into the Phuket property market?
One crucial aspect we haven't touched on yet is the legal framework. Thailand has specific laws governing foreign property ownership, and it's essential to understand these regulations before making any commitments.
Right, we briefly mentioned leasehold agreements and purchasing through a Thai company, but let's break those down a bit further. What are the key things investors need to know?
With leasehold agreements, you're essentially granted the right to occupy and use the property for a set period, typically 30 years, but sometimes longer. You pay a lump sum upfront for the lease, and then annual rent. It's important to understand the terms of the lease, including renewal options, and to have a lawyer review the contract before signing.
So it's like a long-term rental agreement, but you have more control over the property than a typical tenant.
Exactly. And it can be a viable option for investors who aren't seeking full ownership, but still want to enjoy the benefits of owning a property in Phuket.
Okay, and what about purchasing through a Thai company? You mentioned it earlier, but I'm still a bit fuzzy on the details. Why would someone choose this route?
This option is more complex, but it offers a way for foreigners to gain ownership of land and buildings. Essentially, you create a Thai limited company, and that company purchases the property. You, as a foreigner, can hold shares in the company, giving you control over the asset.
So it's like creating a legal entity to own the property on your behalf.
Exactly. But it's crucial to consult with legal professionals who specialize in Thai property law to ensure everything is set up correctly and in compliance with regulations. There are specific requirements for foreign ownership in Thai companies, so it's not something to attempt without expert guidance.
Right, navigating the legal intricacies is crucial. It's not a DIY project.
Not at all. And beyond the legal aspects, there are practical considerations. Property management, for instance. Are you planning to manage the property yourself, or will you hire a local company to handle rentals, maintenance, and guest services?
That's a good point. Owning a property in a foreign country comes with its own set of logistical challenges.
Absolutely. Think about factors like language barriers, time zone differences, and the reliability of local service providers. You need to have a system in place to ensure your investment is well managed, even from afar.
So it's not just about buying a property, it's about creating a whole ecosystem of support and management. And I imagine cultural differences can come into play as well.
Absolutely. Understanding Thai culture, customs, and business practices is crucial for smooth operations. Building relationships with local contacts, respecting local traditions, and being mindful of cultural sensitivities will go a long way in ensuring your success.
It sounds like investing in Phuket is a multifaceted endeavor. It's not just about the property itself. It's about the legal framework, the management logistics, the cultural nuances, and of course, the environmental considerations we discussed earlier.
Precisely. It's a complex tapestry of factors, and that's why it's so important to approach this with a well-informed, strategic mindset.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've delved into the risks, the opportunities, the legal framework, the management aspects, and the cultural considerations. What's the final piece of the puzzle that our listeners need to consider? before making a decision.
I'd say the final piece is understanding your own personal investment goals and aligning them with the realities of the Phuket market.
Right. It's not just about what Phuket has to offer, but whether it aligns with your individual aspirations and risk tolerance.
Exactly. Ask yourself some tough questions. What are your financial goals? What level of risk are you comfortable with? What kind of lifestyle are you envisioning? Once you have clarity on your own objectives, you can assess whether Phuket is the right fit.
So it's about matching your personal vision with the opportunities and challenges that Phuket presents.
Precisely. And that's a process that requires introspection, research, and ideally some firsthand experience.
Right? You can read all the articles and listen to all the podcasts, but there's no substitute for actually visiting Phuket, exploring the different areas,
Well,
and getting a feel for the place.
absolutely. Talk to local residents, visit potential properties, experience the culture, and see if Phuket resonates with you on a personal level. Because at the end of the day, this is more than just a financial investment. It's an investment in a lifestyle, a community, and a piece of paradise.
We've really dug deep into this Phuket property market. The potential, the pitfalls, the legal maze, even the cultural nuances. It's clear that Phuket is evolving, striving to balance this growth with sustainability. But what I find really intriguing is this sense of a shifting mindset.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to see how Phuket seems to be moving beyond that traditional sun, sand, and sea model of tourism.
Yeah.
It's really embracing a more holistic approach, recognizing that the long-term value of a destination isn't just about attracting tourists, it's about creating a place where people want to live, work, and invest in the future.
Right. It's like they're saying, come for the beaches, but stay for the lifestyle, the community, the sense of purpose.
Exactly. And that shift is really evident in the types of developments we're seeing. The new airport, the international hospital, the focus on sustainable tourism practices. It's not just about building more resorts, it's about creating a well-rounded ecosystem. That caters to a more discerning, globally minded resident and investor.
So for someone considering Phuket as an investment destination, what's the key takeaway here? What should they be really mulling over as they weigh their options?
I'd say it's about recognizing that Phuket is no longer just a place to park your money and hope for a quick return. It's a place where you can potentially create lasting value,
Yeah.
both financially and personally. But it requires a more engaged long-term approach.
It's about investing with intention, aligning your financial goals with a vision for the future of Phuket itself.
Precisely. Think about the legacy you want to create with your investment. Are you contributing to the kind of Phuket you'd want to be a part of? Are you supporting developments that prioritize sustainability, community well-being, and a balanced approach to growth?
It's about seeing your investment as part of a larger narrative, a story that's still being written. And that story involves navigating the complexities of climate change, embracing cultural diversity, and building a community that's both prosperous and purposeful.
And that's what makes Phuket so compelling, right? It's not just some passive investment opportunity. It's an invitation to be a part of something bigger, to shape the future of a place that holds so much potential.
It's like Phuket is saying, come join us on this journey. It's going to be exciting, challenging, and ultimately incredibly rewarding.
And for those who are ready to embrace that journey, who are willing to do their homework, engage with the local community, and invest with both their heads and their hearts, Phuket offers an opportunity to create something truly special.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Imagine yourself 5, 10, 20 years from now. You've made the decision to invest in Phuket. You've seen the island evolve. You've watched your investment grow. And you become a part of a thriving community. What does that picture look like? What role did your investment play in shaping that future?
It's a powerful image. It's about seeing beyond the immediate return on investment and envisioning the long-term impact, both personally and for the community as a whole.
Exactly, because ultimately the most successful investments are the ones that create a ripple effect of positive change. They're the ones that leave a legacy that you can be proud of, a legacy that contributes to a brighter future for Phuket and for generations to come.
And on that inspiring note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Phuket property market. We hope you've gained some valuable insights, sparked your curiosity, and perhaps even ignited a dream or two.
Remember, this is just the beginning of your exploration. The journey to investing in paradise is paved with research, careful consideration, and a healthy dose of adventure.
So go forth, armed with knowledge, fueled by passion, and ready to make informed decisions that create a future that's both profitable and purposeful. Until next time, happy investing.